Item number 1, a Texas company offers a tough, beautiful 3D printed home. The property, dubbed House Zero, is built by Icon, a company that is looking to revolutionize the home building process. Icon CEO Jason Ballard said 3D printing will make houses more affordable and more beautiful. House Zero's walls were built in 10 days with the Vulcan, a 9,500-pound 3D printing robot that Icon brought to the site. Ballard said the method saves on labor and materials, and that the curved walls, in addition to being aesthetically pleasing, add strength. Now, it's important to note that this new construction technology isn't coming into use, as it will change housing in the future. But personally, what I am most fascinated by is the revelation that somewhere in Texas, there is an almost 10,000-pound giant robot. And for those wondering, I did look it up, and there was a transformer named Vulcan. It was a variant of the Dinobot Grimlock, and then also a turkey vulture in the Beast Wars line, and a Japanese fire truck. So if you're into collecting obscure Transformers, that's some extra news. But back to real estate news. And BC to introduce cooling off period legislation for real estate. And we chose this image because it looks like British Columbia is really cooling off. That's the dead of winter, of course, and not right now. So British Columbia's government announced it will introduce legislation this spring with the aim of giving homebuyers a chance to change their minds on the purchase of a home. The legislation would allow purchasers to back out with no or little legal consequences. The BC Financial Services Authority said it will also be consulting with those in the real estate industry and other experts on more ways to protect customers, including a review of the blind bidding system, which can significantly raise the price of a purchase. Now, my personal prediction is that while this may add stress to sellers, for buy and hold investors, like a lot of us are and should be, this could be very helpful because it's another tool to allow for due diligence and negotiation. And if there are home buyers that are backing out of deals, it might increase the number of motivated sellers in British Columbia and anywhere else if other provinces look to enact these sort of things. We in Canada are having the equivalent of state elections in pretty much every province this year. So there's going to be a lot of these kind of stories, which segues nicely into the next two, and that is the province of Ontario. So the first of two Ontario stories is that Ontario introduces a new legislation to increase housing supply in the province. Ontario's housing minister, Steve Clark, that's the gentleman with the glasses there, has introduced legislation to streamline approval and processes in a bid to boost the province's housing supply. It comes after a housing affordability task force conveyed by the government released a report last month offering 55 recommendations, including a goal of building 1.5 million homes in 10 years. Government officials say the task force report gives them a long-term roadmap, but many of the recommendations are not addressed in this particular legislation, including changing municipal zoning rules to allow for more housing to be built aside from single-family homes. The government is now launching consultations on increasing the missing middle housing, including supports for multi-generational housing, access to financing for not-for-profit developers, and the housing for the needs of rural and northern communities. Ontario is cracking down on the foreign real estate speculation with a tax increase. So the Ontario government is hiking its tax on foreign home buyers ahead of the provincial election campaign, where affordability is expected to be a key issue. I think no matter where you are in North America, affordability is pretty much a thing that everyone's talking about. Currently, the non-resident speculation tax rate in Ontario is only 15%, and it only applies to homes purchased by foreign nationals, foreign corporations, and taxable trustees in the Greater Golden Horseshoe region, which, as we learned last week, talking with Mike Heddle, is generally the area surrounding Lake Ontario. It includes Toronto in the GTA, Hamilton, Niagara Falls, So that's the golden horseshoe for those of you out of market that aren't familiar with it. But that's going to become less relevant in the future because increasing the tax rate to 20% is what they're proposing, and they are expanding the tax to apply province-wide. They believe this will strengthen efforts to deter non-resident investors from speculating on Ontario's housing market and help make home ownership more attainable for Ontario residents. This follows Nova Scotia implementing new taxes to be applied to non-resident homeowners in an effort to cool their hot housing market. And British Columbia has had a speculation and vacancy tax in place since 2018. So this one is really directed at our American viewers looking to invest in Canada. Keyspire, you're going to come across a lot of good opportunities. You might happen to come across a few in London, Ontario tonight with Justin Conoco. So there are still opportunities in Canada, but when you're making sure to invest where returns are best, be sure to remember these taxes when running your numbers, include them in your figures, and see if it's still worth it to get in the deal. And if that is a deterrent for you, perhaps then there's another market that doesn't have those kind of foreign buyer taxes applied to you, like, for example, Dallas, Texas, where they don't only have giant robots that build houses, but they have one of our other guests tonight. And with that, I think I'm going to close off the news